drives you, exile? Is it justice? Revenge? Honor? No, it is power. We felt your deeds. Felt their shockwaves ripple through the void. You have our attention. Now you must keep it. Your limits will be tested. The stars themselves will bear silent witness. How far will you bend before you break?
Hey guys, welcome to a little video. Basically in this video I want to showcase this current build that I'm playing. It is a cast on crit Ice Nova Elementalist, as you can see. And maybe you're thinking, why Elementalist and not Assassin? Well, basically, short and sweet, because I wanted to do something different. And I've been playing cast on crit Assassin for a few leagues now. And because of the Elementalist rework, I thought it would be a good idea to try it. I did see some other videos on YouTube doing this similar build, but let's say just on an extremely high budget, okay? So yeah, the basics are the same. You need to cap your accuracy, you need to cap your crit, because if you don't hit, you don't crit, and you don't proc an Ice Nova, which means you don't do damage. These are the two main things that we need in the build, crit and accuracy, okay? How cast on crit works, basically we use Cyclone with, cast on crit support, and every time you crit with your weapon, you're gonna trigger Ice Nova, which is buffed by the other gems, right? We're using CoC Primalis, the only and probably the best weapon to use for this build, because it triggers socketed spells when you deal a critical strike. And we're gonna have here Frostbolt, Frost Bomb, and Ice Nova. You could replace this, the last Ice Nova, with, I don't know, maybe you wanna use GMP or LMP for your Frostbolt, or Conk Effect for the Frost Bomb, or anything really. It's like a really matter of taste. So yeah, let's start with the gear, shall we? So like I said, the weapon is CoC Primalis. Let's start with the lower section, okay? The gloves. The gloves, really, you have two choices. I went with the increased damage with hits against shield enemies. You can either do this, or you can get a hunter influenced pair of gloves, and you can get the chance to unnerve enemies on hit. It's pretty good both ways. You can either do that or this. And if you want to go a step further, you can awaken orbit with Culling Strike or spell damage to get even more DPS or something. But again, that's a little bit more costly, and yeah, if you awaken orbit and you get some prefixes or suffixes that you can't remove via Harvest Crafts, it's gonna be a little bit annoying to get rid of. Next up, we have the belt. It's a Shaper and Redeemer belt. Shaper and Redeemer, you ask, well, why did you go Redeemer? Why didn't you go Crusader? Well, long story short, I should have gone Crusader, but I went for Redeemer because I thought I would get more damage. And you can get more damage. This build is not finished, by the way. As you can see, the tiers are completely scuffed. Not even one tier 1. The idea was to get cold damage in the prefix. Alright, I'm working on it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Don't worry. And Shaper, because we want spell damage during Flask effect, which sadly is tier 3 in our case, and you want the defense modifiers from the Shaper base, which is increased energy shield from body armor, energy shield recovery rate, maximum ES, and if you want to go with the Crusader base, you want to get the prefix, which is percent ES. That will give you maybe quite a bit more actually, energy shield. If you want to go really fast, and we're going to talk about the action speed of Cast on Crit and Cyclone a bit later, you can go for increased cooldown recovery rate on the belt also. Okay, boots, again, just Sorcerer Para boots with Shaper and Hunter influence. Tailwind, you can go Tailwind or you can go Tailwind and Elusive, so you can go a combination of those. I went for the cooldown recovery rate, which needs to be divined, because I do want to push the attack speed of this to higher means, which I want to say like 10 attacks per second, so then it procs even faster, because then you need like 54 or something cooldown recovery rate. We'll talk about that in a bit. Okay. As for the ring, you could, if you have the money, you can get Woke Hex Touch, right? And then you can do a curses enemies with Assassin's Mark on head, which will make them take more damage from your crits, which is very good, okay? Not gonna lie. I went for this because I just had the base lying around. It's not, the build is not min-maxed, as you can see. It's not top tier on crafting levels, so there's room for improvements. So basically, cold damage to spells and attacks, which is really good. It's quite a bit of a DPS increase. Then cold damage against chilled enemies, chilled or frozen enemies, is kind of like this, but it's just cold damage. Then you want to sock it in of your suffixes. You want to do accuracy. If you can get accuracy by other means, for example in the gloves, that's great. If not, try to keep your accuracy where you can. The shield, basically, the shield, oh boy, this shield this was a nightmare to craft, not gonna lie. This took me about maybe, I don't know, 200 to 250 dense fossils, right? What I did was spam dense fossils until I would get a good prefix roll. I did get once or twice triple T1 prefixes. That would boost this shield to like about 400 something ES, 450. It was pretty good. And then I did reforge item keeping all prefixes, right? In hopes to get socketed gems have 50% reduced mana reservation. Long story short, it didn't work. I spent like 500 exalts on rerolling suffixes. It didn't work. I gave up. I just rerolled again with dense fossil until I hit the prefixes and the suffixes. By the way, in the suffixes, you only need the socketed gems have reduced mana reservation. You add the recover 15% energy shield on block is a guaranteed defense augment on the Shaper base. For the amulet, you can go with this is the budget version, by the way. You can go plus one to all level of cold skill gems, and then ES, accuracy, attributes, resist what you need. Okay. The more expensive version of this would be a Awakener Orb, +1 of all level cold skill gems, and +1 of all intelligent skill gems. Okay, that would boost your Ice Nova quite a bit. I intend to do that, but at a later date. Helmet, pretty short and sweet. What's the name of this guy? Warlord? Yes, Warlord. Warlord, Hubris Circles, +1 power charges, ES, accuracy, crit multi. Nothing too special here. Again, the more expensive version of this would be +1 power charges merged with a Redeemer base, with nearby enemies have -12, was it? I think it was 12. 12 cold res. The other ring, this one's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this ring. Nothing too fancy, just double T1 ES. It needs to be divined again, with all the missing resistances that I need. Okay. The chest piece. Okay. So we're not an assassin. We don't have that so many ways to generate power charges, right? So I thought, well, why not just get power charge on crit? That sounds good, right? That sounds pretty good. But then I thought it's 15% chance to get a power charge on crit. So I said, let's merge it with a chance to gain frenzy charge on hit, right? And because of our timeless jewel, a Militant Faith, which says 3% more spell damage per power charge, gain power charge instead of frenzy charges. That basically means we have a 25% chance to gain a power charge when we attack. Simple as that. That's a basic power charge generation method, right? Now, the other option for this chest would be a Crusader and Shaper based, merged together with Explode mod and the Shaper intelligence suffix. And what will that do is basically give you a lot of int, and you need to take full advantage of that. You will need to Maven Orbit, and you want to hit the int. Once you hit the int, it will actually give you +1 of all int skill gems. Again, another level to your Ice Nova, which means more damage. Okay. So that's the gear, the flasks, Rumi's concoction, pretty basic, right? Just a little bit of defense. Bottle of Faith. This is quite an expensive flask. If you haven't realized by now, the build is not very budget friendly. So Bottle of Faith. This flask is quite expensive. I think it's about 8 or 9 exalts by now. But if you can afford the other gear, you can probably afford the Bottle of Faith. Okay. If you don't want to buy a Bottle of Faith, then you'll have to find another way to get the crit from the flask itself, right? Because even myself, with all the crit that I have, I still don't have crit cap without the flask, which kind of sucks, I know. Movement speed flask removes bleeding, pretty basic flask, right? Wise Oak for the damage penetrates enemies' resistances. Mine is cold and fire, so basically penetrates cold, which is a big DPS increase. And I took a Cinder Swallow with chance to avoid being stunned during flask effect. Why? Because getting stunned while cycloning sucks. Okay, I died a few times to that because I simply just got stunned. Not fun. And you say, well, this flask only has 50%. How do you get out of 50%? Well, the ideal way is to try and get 10% chance to avoid being stunned on your jewels. You get this from your harvest crafts, right? It's not a very common mod, as you can see. I think I tried it on quite a few jewels, like not very successful. I think I tried it on more. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, see, avoid being frozen and stuff like that. Yeah, you can get, if you can get it on 5 jewels, then combine it with the flask, then basically you are stun immune. You cannot be stunned. Okay, for our jewels, the unique jewels that we want is Frozen Trail. Ideally not with Penetrates 1 fire res because that's useless. What this does is with 40 intelligence in the radius, Frostball fires 2 additional projectiles. We have 40 in the radius, Frostball fires 2 additional projectiles. Now, the Timeless Jewel, the Militant Fate, what does it do? Like I said, it gives you 3% more spell damage per power charge. We have 7 power chargers, 7 times 3, 21% more spell damage. Okay, pretty good. We use a Thread of Hope here in a large ring. This is so good. I can't stress this enough. This is so good. Look how many notables you get without having to path there, right? It's pretty good. So in this Thread of Hope, we get this Heart of Ice, Breath of Rhyme. We get the Utmost Intellect because it's really good for ES builds. Snowforge, it is pretty good. Crit strike chance, fire damage, fire and cold res, pretty good. Arcane Focus, Energy Shield recharge rate, pretty good. Deep Wisdom, this is also pretty good. I highly recommend. Some people don't take it, but I do recommend this, like 20 ES, 20 Int, which is a lot of ES. This Oof. This is some people take it, some people don't. The thing is that with the accuracy, the dex, I mean, the dex on the node gives you accuracy. If you're not kept on accuracy, dex gives you accuracy, right? You could take it just for that and 25 chance to avoid interruption from stuns while casting. You don't cast, you channel. It depends. If you can get hit capped without this, don't take it. Spend another point somewhere. Okay. This again, this is a personal favorite of mine. 0.8 of spell damage is leached as energy shield. I do like this because we do a lot of spell damage, and 0.8 of that leached as energy shield is quite a bit of sustain. Okay. Good. That's our basic jewels. For our cluster jewels, we use a Blanketed Snow, Doriani's Distorting Display, and Prismatic Heart. The main thing you want here is Blanketed Snow. You can combine Blanketed Snow with either Distorting Display, which is this one. It gives you 25% chance, 25% increased elemental damage, and 10% chance to blind nearby enemies when you use elemental skill. Elemental skill is even Flame Dash. If you want to use Flame Dash, you have a chance to blind enemies. I have seen it work. It works. It's fine. It's a good defensive layer, especially if you don't have the mana like I do to sock it in Flesh and Stone. The most, I would say, the best combination with Blanketed Snow is Widespread Destruction, like I have it here. Widespread Destruction, what is it? It's somewhere over here. This one. It's basically more AoE and elemental damage. You gotta love AoE. Core to the Core is something I got random. These jewels, by the way, I got by spamming only Frigid Fossils. On a 8 passive skill large cluster jewel, you spam Frigid Fossils until you get it. Usually it's about not gonna lie, it took me about like 100 and something Frigid Fossils. Basically about, let's say, 1x in fossils and 1x in resonator, so 2x. But if you look for these jewels especially, they are quite expensive, right? 4x, 5x. So spending 2x on them to craft them is not that bad. You can either buy them or craft them, whatever you like. For our mediums, I went with Magnifier and Pressure Points. Magnifier gives us area effect, area damage, and crit multi. Very nice. For Pressure Points, this is huge. It gives you 30% increased critical strike chance. This helps a lot with us getting to crit cap, right? And these are the same for all the mediums. 4 of these. If you get a crit cap with only 2, that's even better. With 3, good. Then you might want to change this to, like, I don't know, maybe Magnifier Vespa or something like that. For our Watcher's Eye, I bought this one for like 5x or 6x. It's 1.79 critical strike chance while affected by Hatred. We use Hatred. So yeah, it helps us get crit capped. Good. So that's about it. I told you about the gear, about the links. I explained how this works. The other links are like Summon Flame Golem, which I never use because he always dies. Dash, Second Wind, Arcane Surge. Basically, when we dash,
I need more mana.
we get a buff of Arcane Surge. Herald Device, Discipline, Precision, pretty basic, nothing too fancy. Enlighten with Hatred because I don't have enough mana. I need to run an Uber Lab to try and enchant this. Righteous Fire for when you have it up for bosses is really, really good. And a Portal Gem. Over here we have our curse setup, Vortex, Bone Chill, Hex Touch, Frostbite. If you got the money, you can buy a Woke Hex Touch and then get a Assassin's Mark on her ring, double curse, more damage, pretty good. Okay, so that's let's hop on the POB. So yeah, as you can see here, our Ice Nova DPS is about 1 million, almost 1.1 million. And if you go into the configuration here, we see we have ticked power charges, inspiration charges, tailwind, consecrated ground from our bottle of faith, convergence because this is from our ascendancy. We get convergence for 4 seconds every 8 seconds, which means more damage. Cool. Other things that we have is the enemy chilled. Yes, we always chill the enemy. We saw we even froze Cyrus a little bit in that previous clip. Enemy is shocked, always shocked from our ascendancy. Once again, Shaper of Storms, your hits always shock. All damage with hits can shock. Cool. Is enemy boss Cyrus? I don't have anything else ticked. I mean, you could like tick that, but you're not always on full ES. Even though our sustain of ES is pretty good. As you can see on the defensive side, energy shield regen is about 500 ES per second. ES leech per hit is 800, so basically every hit we get 800 ES back, which is pretty goddamn good. So you can top up your shield, your ES shield pretty fast. Okay. Physical damage reduction is only 24%. So yeah, pretty much our weakness is physical damage. If you want to go this path, you can take the golems and get like another 15 or something fast damage reduction. But I tested it, it didn't work out, so I think this is better. I just have to play a bit more safe. And yeah, as soon as we level, we're gonna get more damage, more ES, like you see here. Bam, bam, you get even more stuff. It's getting pretty good. So yeah, this is the damage numbers. I hope you found this build interesting, or are you interested in playing it. Feel free to drop by my Twitch channel. I stream almost every day, as much as I possibly can, and how much my IRL job allows me. That will be twitch.tv/Dante00151. Yeah, I hope to see you there. And as always, stay safe.